From the Jesuit Media Lab, we are two Jesuits Talking. This is my pal, Father Damian Torres-Botello of the Society of Jesus.
And this is right in front of me, one of my best friends, Father Eric Immel, also of the Society of Jesus.
And we are going to talk because we are two Jesuits, and that is the name of the show. Two Jesuits Talking.
Dos Jesuitos. Is that how you say Jesuits in Spanish?
Jesuitas, you know, with the...
Oh, yeah. Okay. Dos Jesuitas.
Already. Great. How you doing, babe?
Good. I'm doing good. I'm hanging in. I've been sick, but I'm gaining my spark back.
Excellent.
Doing okay. How about you? How are you doing?
Good. Yeah. Was out of town this weekend. So just for some reference, you're going to be hearing this at some point in the future, but right now we are recording on a Monday. So just talk me through your weekend. You are the director of evangelization at the Jesuit family of parishes in Cincinnati, Ohio. Tip of the cap. What did you do this weekend? What was your job?
Well, this weekend was pretty, I laid low because I was very sick. And so I doused myself in medicine so that I could wake up at for the 7 a.m. Mass at St. Xavier Church downtown. And then I had a breakfast meeting. And then St. Xavier Church had a concert on Saturday evening. And so I had to repose. I don't know if I'm going to say this. I don't know the right Catholic language, so I'm going to get it wrong. But I had to repose Jesus in a different place out of the tabernacle so that the concert could happen in the church. So it was sacred music that was being sung. It was a nice a choral arrangement called The Seven Last Words, but I'm not quite sure who the composer was, but it was quite excellent.
Cool.
And then I finished up a homily for a wedding I had that afternoon. Fixed my little wedding binder that I have so that I can make sure I say the right names, because I've gotten nervous before and said the wrong names at a wedding. So I got my binder prepared and then went to the wedding, did the wedding, and then went home and crashed. And then I took Mucinex nighttime, and it wiped me. Like, I was knocked out, and it took me the majority of the Sunday to get out of that fog. I didn't like that feeling at all.
Oh, yeah.
And then I had the 5 p.m. Mass at St. Xavier downtown, so did that one. And then the 7 p.m. Mass at Bellarmine Chapel, and did that. That was very long because we had first, the Mass opened up with a collection call so that we could help Xavier Jesuit Academy. So they gave a little talk at the beginning. And then once a month, Bellarmine Chapel does a witness talk to help break open the scriptures. So we had that based around prayer. And then after my homily, we had the rite of sending. It was some rite, the rite before we go to the rite of whatever the next rite is at the cathedral that the Archbishop will be at next Sunday.
Yeah.
So we had that and then did that with our OCIA candidates and our catechumens. And then went home and crashed again.
Okay, so I just want people to follow. When did you lay low to heal and get better?
Well, I usually have a lot of directees, and I usually have confessions and on Saturdays, and they were all canceled. I unfortunately decided to cancel confessions because I don't think I'm infectious, but I didn't want to trap people in with Father coughing while they're, I don't want to get people sick. So some of my normal day was rescheduled.
Got you.
Yeah. And then Sunday I had a couple of things that were scheduled that I also rescheduled and didn't attend a couple of things because they involved young children and I didn't want to get the kids sick. So Sunday normally was more busy than it actually was. So
I hear you.
Yeah.
So that's a typical weekend for you.
The typical weekend. Yeah.
Some form of that. Yeah, right on.
Yeah. It's fun.
Wow. Sounds like you're hustling all the time.
I'm hustling. What were you doing? Where were you at?
Oh, great question. So I am I live at Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska. This is where I work out of. I'm a full-time vocation promoter. I think we've mentioned that before. And a big part of my job is traveling to have encounters with the young church. And I do that in a lot of different ways. But one way that I've been doing that this year is by participating in a program through Boston College funded by the Lilly Grant, the Lilly Foundation, called AMDG, Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, for the greater glory of God. This program bears the name of the motto of the Society of Jesus, and it is a year-long formation program for young people to integrate and deepen their sense of Ignatian spirituality. So we were in Boston together last summer participating in a program that BC runs called Ever to Excel.
Do you know a guy named Sam?
I know lots of
Sam
guys.
Eberly? He's also in that program from here.
Oh, yeah. There's a group from St. Xavier.
Yeah.
I remember meeting a guy named Sam. Yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I got excited.
Sam, if we had like a really deep, intimate moment, and I'm just totally blanking on it right now, forgive me, brother. Okay, forgive me. Yeah. But there's a Xavier student named Maggie who's also a part of that program. Anyway, or I digress. So the weekly prayer and reflection and service. And this past weekend, we were at the Jesuit retreat house in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, making a silent retreat. So there were 5 groups of us from Boston College, from Creighton U, from Jesuit High School in Sacramento, from Gonzaga Prep in Spokane, and from Arupe, which is a Cristo Rey Model High School in Denver. So the 5 groups got together and we received the gift. We made a preached retreat led by Father Michael Moore, who was spectacular.
He's great.
Oh, he was spectacular. And I didn't really know what to expect as another priest who's always available to do the work of priesthood. I didn't quite know what I had coming. But I was busy all weekend meeting for spiritual direction, hearing confessions. Father Moore invited me to preach the masses, and I presided at our mass on Friday. And I mean, I was just busy all weekend. Plus, the ambassadors in this program, sort of the chaperones, as it were, are lovely people. So shout out to all of them. We just had a really great weekend together. So that's where I was. I was in Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Nice. Oh, very cool. Very cool. I love Oshkosh. That's a great place.
Would you say that your weekends are pretty typical? Are they predictable? Because my weekends are almost always different. It's like, well, I'm here this weekend with this university group helping with this retreat, or I'm, in this town meeting with these guys for this reason. Or, I mean, I really have no predictable structure to my life.
I would say that like from 7 a.m. to about 12 noon, it is pretty predictable in the sense that they're scheduled. I know ahead of time what I'm doing. And then after that, it depends. Like last weekend, I went to a couple of homes and did some house masses. Other times I went to the hospital and visited some sick people in the hospital. Friday and Saturdays both tend to be when I guess I would call it on the road, quote unquote, if you will, where I'm traveling to people's homes or hospitals most of the time, because that's kind of where my schedule is the most freest to do that.
So these are folks that are sick that you need to visit in the hospital, or folks that are homebound, so you visit them in their homes, kind of thing?
Yeah, that's right. Hear confessions, give them anointings, communions, and things like that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that part of my job. I did not enter the Society of Jesus to be in a desk, because I worked at a desk before I was a Jesuit, and I think get little I don't know whatever this word could be for this movement here. I get this when I have to sit at my desk for a very long time because
you get restless, you get listless, you get anxious.
Restless, yes, yeah.
I love it.
So what is our topic today? What are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about friendship.
Friendship.
And as per usual, we don't have a script here. We are going to just see where this takes us. Right?
Oh my gosh. Holy Spirit.
Come, Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful. What is that, the dove?
I think so. Or a butterfly.
Or the tongue of fire. Anyway. All right, so let me just ask the most unhelpful and generic question I could possibly ask.
Yes.
What is friendship to you?
Oh my gosh.
How about that on the spot?
Well, I think it's important to say, I want to say this up front, that I think this conversation that we're going to be talking about when it comes to friendship is from the perspective of 2 men. So this is very general, right? And so we're very different, Father Eric and I, for sure. But it's a perspective of 2 men. So those who are listening and or watching, this may not be your definition or your experience of friendship, or maybe it is, and maybe this might get some insight. I don't know what it's going to bring. I probably will have some insight that I will learn from Father Eric, and maybe whatever comes to my mouth, I might be surprised about what I said, because again, the Holy Spirit is inviting us to talk.
I'm thinking of something that I say all the time. It's become like a catchphrase that people ascribe to me, which is free as a bird.
Free as a bird.
Free as a bird. And so I do this, free as a bird. And so you're using the Holy Spirit, the little... Yeah, so friendship, just like what stirs when you hear the word? What stirs when you hold the idea of friendship?
When I hold the idea of friendship, oh my gosh, I think of like... Well, I think I hold friendship very tightly, I think. So when I think of friendship, I think of it like as a chosen family.
Okay.
So friends are, for me, they are hard to come by, and they're not easily integrated into my life because I hold it kind of seriously. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I would say. Chosen family.
Yeah. Good.
What about you?
Yeah, friendship is. I mean, I wish I had a definition, but I would say that friendship for me includes intimacy. It includes tenderness. It includes shared life. It includes a willingness to encounter. It includes a willingness to commit and to spend time and to take time. Friendship is lifeblood in many ways. I mean, family and friendship, I don't think are as distinct as sometimes we make them out to be. I don't necessarily think that the categories of family versus friendship are worth lingering too much on, because I think we can be friends with our siblings. They're our siblings. There's something to it that unites us. It's a bond beyond the choice to bind ourselves together. But I just wonder if friendship isn't a way of being, right? To embrace, to approach, to consider friendship as sort of a necessary component of the human life, right? Like, just think about what the church says about the human person. I mean, among other things, we are fundamentally social beings, right? That's what Catholic social teaching is all about. It starts with the notion that we're not meant to be alone. We're not meant to suffer in isolation. We're not meant to exist. We can't survive without each other. So friendship and unity and community, which are all sort of unique and different concepts, and we can parse those out if we want, but at the center of friendship is this notion that we can't exist alone. We belong to each other and we need each other. I think that's sort of fundamental to Catholic faith. And so I think it's just a deeply integrated and rooted part of the human experience is to be in friendship, to be in relationship with other people, and specifically friendship as right relationship with other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's really good. I think it's interesting because we know my experience of friendship is a category that was all that in my understanding of being raised, the way that I was raised is that friendship was like a tertiary thing. Family was a thing. I know there's a larger quote that the phrase blood is thicker than water, and there's more to that quote than what that phrase is, but that was used a lot in my family. Family mattered most, and family were the people that you were born into or given into. And so friends did not have a place. So family came first. And so the idea of family being friends was never a category for me growing up, because family was not friendship. Family was something else. And so when I grew up, it took a long time for me to, I think, really embrace the idea that friends could be a family, a kind of family. And there was always, and I even just did it. There's always this sense of like trying to caveat it. It's a family. Well, it's a kind of family, because it's still in my head that family is something else and its own kind of its own planet, I guess. And friendship is something else. And so to come to terms with myself and to freely say it's a chosen family was a huge deal, to be able to say that friendship could even mirror what family is. And so I think that's interesting that the way that you've defined friendship, it is. I mean, it is community, it is togetherness, it is a belonging. But I wonder if culturally too, it is held differently by many people and what that is. I mean, definitely was for my family. Again, I'm third generation Mexican American, and so I don't know if that Mexican American culture was there. The sense of the way that we can feel safe and belong is with each other. So we create our own community, and that's what that is. Anything outside of that takes time to enter in, because this was the safe capsule, the family.
Yeah, got you. And I mean, I just to give myself an off ramp here, I think our musings don't necessarily equate to an exact rendition of the notion of friendship in our lives. We're just sort of riffing. Like, I might come to understand something in this conversation that goes against what I just said. You know what I mean? So we've got to be a little free in figuring out how these two categories operate.
Oh yeah.
So let me keep you in the hot seat here. I can't exactly remember what you said, but friendship is not difficult for you, but it's a hard-earned experience.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, I think friendship begins in a place of trust. And I think that on the surface, I might come across, I think, as very trusting. But if I am going to trust someone with parts of my life, like entering into my life through events or whatever, however people enter into lives as friendship, whatever that is, I think I hold my cards close to my chest until I feel like that I can till I say, okay, I think I can trust this person enough to let them in. Until then, I mean, we're friendly. I have friendly people. I have great acquaintances or people who I walk through with life, and they may not necessarily be who I would call a friend. Someone who I would say is maybe like a phone call, a first phone call, or someone who I would share something intimate with. And maybe this is more exposing my introversion, maybe because I'm not a really great. I don't like small talk. I tolerate it, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I have a friend of someone that you know, Brian Geating, who was a Jesuit at one point, entered in my class, and we are friends here in Cincinnati. He's from Cincinnati, and we just sit down and we go deep very quickly.
You just go for it.
We just go for it, and I love it. And it just really is. It stimulates my brain, and it just makes my heart feel great, and I just love it. I'm not good at. I should say I'm not good at. I just don't find interest in talking about weather and cats and stuff that doesn't make any, unless that stuff really matters to you. I just don't care, and I just don't have the time. Don't want to talk about any of that.
A very strong statement from Father Damian Torres-Botello. He doesn't care about the weather or cats. So just make sure that when you approach my good friend, Father Damian, don't talk about those things.
Don't talk about those things.
See, that's so interesting because, I mean, what you're describing, and I think I can say this comfortably about you, is that you are better one-on-one. You're better with small groups. You cultivate a very small, intimate circle of people that you would call friends.
Yeah.
And that friend is almost for you, it's an honorific that you bestow upon somebody who, over time, through shared experience, through layers of trust and intimacy, you finally then say, you are my friend.
Well, it's basically just, I think it's also a space of just being able to relax and be myself. I think in the history of my life, being able to relax and be authentically me has not always been easy to come by. And so my walls are up until I can figure out that with this person, I can actually be myself. Otherwise, I have to feel like I have to be on, and I have to put on a persona. And that's not always comfortable. I don't think for anybody, but definitely for me, I don't like that. So it also was a space of being able to take off my shoes and let down my hair, if you will. And especially as a Jesuit, to have a space where I can take off my collar and just kind of be myself and not have to be this, where I can just be Damian, or as most of my friends tend to call me other names like D or DTB or whatever nickname they've given me. I can be that and not Father Damian. And I think that now, especially as an ordained minister, is especially special and requires, I think, a lot of vetting to be able to say that is what I can do.
I like that phrase, especially special. Yeah, that's sort of a tongue twister, but I like it. No, I get what you're saying. I got advice from a more experienced priest. This was right before I was ordained. And he said something to me like, Eric, there's a category of person who will become increasingly important for you as you enter more deeply into your priesthood. And that is the category of people who don't care if your homilies are good. They don't care if, I'm forgetting some of the other sort of examples of this he gave, but he's like the people who love you for you and who don't ascribe value to the work that you do. I mean, everybody loves my priesthood. All my friends, they all respect it. My family loves my priesthood. They respect it. They honor it. But at the end of the day, when I'm with my best friends, there is freedom from the pressure to be something that they need me to be. And I think the world needs priests, right? They need us to show up in a certain kind of way and to be available in a certain kind of way. And ministry, I think you and I would agree, and the work of priesthood, the work of ordained life goes beyond work, right? It's not just a job, right? It's much more than just a job. But there do have to be those spaces where we can kind of surrender the hard work that's done, the burden sometimes of priesthood. Not that it's a burden to bring the sacraments to people, but we carry a lot, right? And so the people who don't care, who just care about you, who care about Eric, right?
Yeah.
Those people are going to become increasingly important. Yeah. So there's something very different about you and I in the context of friendship. I am always, with some exceptions. So let me get the hyperbole out of my language immediately. Most of the time, I am the more the merrier kind of guy. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh my gosh, yes.
I like being around people. If I'm sitting one-on-one with somebody and there wasn't a plan to do exactly that one-on-one thing, like in my Jesuit community, I'll be like, hey man, come sit. Like, I'll be like, oh yeah, come. Like, I like seeing the circle widen. I like seeing the community grow. I like being around more people than fewer. Yeah. So that's one instance of friendship for me. It's like, man, let's get the boys together to hang. Let's get the crew together and see what happens, Mm-hmm. And that's partly because of my profound extroversion. I was reminded the other day, do you know the Myers-Briggs? Trust it or not, it's something that lots of people do.
Yeah.
And there's 120 questions, and each of them are determining one or the other in a dichotomy, introverted versus extroverted, for example. And 30 questions each attack those four dichotomies. I answer every single question as an extrovert would answer. All the questions geared toward introversion versus extroversion, I answer as an extrovert would answer. I mean, I am profoundly extroverted.
What's your Myers-Briggs?
ENFP. ENFP.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. What's yours?
I am INFJ.
INFJ.
Yes. One of the rarest ones, apparently.
So we share that intuition. We share that feeling, but we definitely don't perceive versus judge, right? That's funny. Yeah. So I would say this, like my sort of constant movement toward the crew, like my constant sort of desire for the more the merrier, has led to some tension in friendship. I mean, like there are times when you and I have been sort of forced to occupy different spaces because I'm like, no, man, just like come sit around. Like everybody's here. And you're like, yeah, I kind of want to just like not do that. So it's interesting, right? That's just a fundamental difference between the two of us. And I mean, if you were to ask me to sort of rifle off a list of my quote best friends, I mean, I could make some choices about that category, and I have some rote answers, but I'm not sure how helpful that is for me because friendship just looks different for me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Did that take a while for you to come to terms with the sense that friendship looks different for you, or was that something you had to wrestle with, or did you always accept that and just kind of be okay with it? Like for instance, I wrestled a lot and did not accept the way in which friendships showed up, the way in which I navigated friendship. I always wrestled with it. I thought something was wrong with me because of it. And so, did you feel that way ever?
No, I think I understand what you're asking, and maybe this is a way to respond. For better or for worse, I generally like everybody, and people have sort of not challenged that, but just observed that as a place where perhaps I spend a lot of energy. And maybe I don't need to. I'm not saying that I'm going to start suddenly picking people apart and judging them, but I generally like everybody. I think everybody's kind of interesting, and I think I'm pretty good at asking lots of questions and on and on and on. So for me, when I think of friendship, very often I can point to moments in which an experience of depth or intimacy occurred. And that is what unites me more intimately to some people than others. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I wonder how much of this really is kind of like, I've thought about this before. I wonder how much of this, the way in which we carry friendships and the way we carry our personalities within those friendships, was that something that was born in us? Or was it something that was that we learned to do? Like for instance, large groups were never safe for me. I felt like I was bullied as a kid, and that was always done in large groups. And so I always wanted to escape the large groups because I felt like I was being seen, and being seen meant you were going to be teased. And I always stood out. Like I've always been in predominantly white spaces. I've almost always been the only person of color. I've always been a larger person. So I've always been most of the time the biggest person in like size wise in a crowd of people who are more skinnier than I am. Along with other things like my mannerisms and things, there was always something off about me. And so there was always some kind of thing to tease about. And so to be able to withdraw from that, to be able to minimize all of that. I wanted to not be around large groups of people. And so then as I've gotten older, and that how that's integrated into my life has made me, I think, become the kind of person I am in regards to friendship, which is why I have I've never really been someone who's had a group of people. I've had pockets of people, but I've not like had a crew, like I've never had that. But I've had like one or two people here and one or two people here. I don't know if I would say I was a loner, but I was definitely a floater and gravitated towards smaller pockets of people when I could. It even was something that during our time in the novitiate, which is like the first 2 years of our formation, there was a point where we have to fill out informatios about each other, which are kind of like, I don't know, how would you describe an informatio?
It's a moment to prayerfully consider what your experience is of other Jesuits, and then provide some honest feedback, both in the form of affirmation. These are a guy's particular strengths, gifts, talents. This is where I could see him thriving. And also, right, sometimes we use the language of commendations and recommendations, right?
Yes, that's right.
Not to sort of lacerate a guy or destroy a guy because you don't like him, but to say, and here are some things that maybe he could work on to generate a little bit more balance, a little bit more equilibrium in his life.
That's right. Yeah. So these informatios happen throughout our entire life as a Jesuit in specific spaces, but are moments of transition. And in the novitiate, it happened, I believe, in between your first year and second year.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And so we would fill out informatios about each other. And so one of the recommendations that seemed pretty big was my strength of being one-on-one, but at least the way that I heard it, my inability to be with large groups of people. And so that was like really hammered in. And so from then on, throughout my entire time as a Jesuit in formation, I felt like I was wrong. Like the way that I was living was wrong. To be a good Jesuit was to be around a large group of people and to do that well. And I really tried, and it stressed me out. And I think it caused more pain than it actually caused something good. But yeah, I'm much stronger. Well, I had a point to all of this. I totally lost it. But I'm stronger one-on-one or in smaller groups of people than I am with larger groups. And I think what I'm trying to say is that it's taken me a very long time to accept this is who I am. That this is how I carry friendship. This is what friendship means to me. Because this is part of who I am and how I grew up, and this is how it's integrated, and it's okay. To be able to say that it's okay, it's taken a long time for me to be okay with that. And I'm still living into that okayness. Like there are still moments where I'm not, like I wish I could not want to have only certain close friends. I wish I could just be friends with everybody. And like you do, like bring people in, and I just don't want to. It doesn't always feel right to me. And I don't want it to make it sound like that I hate people. I love people, but I can only do it for so long.
Yeah, it is funny. I'm just imagining you, and I've seen you, of course, preside. Your responsibility, quite literally, is to stand at the front of a worship community, a huge group of people, and sort of point them toward the way that God is at work. But that's a very different experience of being in a large group. Yeah. Yeah, and I think, again, I hinted at this before, but I have some beautiful but almost, I would say, painful memories of individual Jesuits or of other friends sort of calling me out, right? To say that, Eric, well, because you sort of have this insatiable desire to be with everybody all the time, actually that diminishes my desire for friendship with you, which is something more intimate, something deeper, something that's more one-on-one, something that meets the needs of the other person, Yeah. Even the manifestation of our friendship, right? Like our friendship is very much like, I think it was built on, if I may say it, I mean, I'm not trying to take more credit for building our friendship than you've taken or that you deserve, but it's basically like, I come find you. Right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, when we lived together, that's definitely true. For sure.
Yeah. And now, of course, there's a difference. But like when we lived together at Loyola Chicago, I would like come down the hall and like knock on your door and be like, hey, man, what's up? And you'd be like, oh, hey, you were always like surprised to see me. You're like, why is this guy visiting me? I was like, I don't know. I just like you. I just want to be around you, you know? Or at Boston College, we talked about this a little bit in our last sort of conversation about nighttime, where like at night, you know, after the day was done and things were crazy and chaotic and busy and we had a moment to breathe, like I would leave the back patio door of the house that I lived in, and I would like leap over that little retaining wall, and I would come into your place, and I'd be like, hey, you'd be like, oh, hey, you know, and you'd just be sitting there, like you'd have candles lit and you'd be like, whatever, creating a vibe with all your stuff. A little clap back to our episode about stuff. And I would just kind of enter into your space.
Yeah.
So it's been something I've had to navigate, right? Is meeting people's expectations in friendship, because, you know, we can only control ourselves, but we also, in friendship, we surrender parts of ourselves and our own comfort for the benefit of other people, of the people that we call friends. Yeah. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
I think we are interesting friends because we are very different. There's been a couple of times in my life of wondering about like, would we have been friends in high school? Because I think it's interesting that we are friends because we have some things that are really great in common, but for the most part, we're very different.
Profoundly different. I mean, it would be fun to sort of riff on what we actually have in common, but the differences are very, very obvious, at least to me. You know?
Well, say some. What do you think are some? Well, what do you see? Not think, because I'm pretty sure I know what they are.
Similarities or differences?
Differences. Both. Well, I mean, whatever. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we grew up in different places. Our racial identities are different. Our family structures and our family of origins are very different.
We're different ages.
We're motivated by different things. I think our skill sets are very different. Like my way of navigating a busy apostolic life is very different than yours. I mean, gosh, what else? I think we relax differently. The way that I like to relax is very different than the way that you like to relax.
Mm-hmm, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm an extrovert. You're an introvert. Like I don't know. There's this is a little bumbling. So if people were looking for some hot goss about how Father Damian and Father Eric are different, maybe that didn't illuminate anything. But yeah, we're just very different. What do you think?
Well, I think that our temperaments are different. I think that you're athletic and prioritize health in a very different way than I do. Our humor is kind of the same. I think we have a pretty similar humor because we laugh at similar stuff.
I think we can make each other laugh. I think we understand each other's humor and we know how to give a shot of joy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I tease more than you don't. You're not really a teaser. You don't tease people the way that I tease people.
No, I'm not a big teaser because because I feel like that I could be mean. And so I just don't tease because I can like, it's like, I don't know how to, maybe that's what it is. I don't know how to tease without like really going for the throat. So,
jeez, don't talk about weather or cats with Father Damian. And like, if you tease him, be ready for a little.
Well, teasing is fun. I know. I wonder because teasing is awesome. I think teasing is a very well. Let me say this. So, majority of my life, I have been surrounded by women. I was raised by my mother and my grandmother. My grandfather was around, but my grandma and my mom had the most heavy lifting when it came to raising me. Most of my best friends before I was a Jesuit, and most of my life was surrounded by women. And so I can relate very well, and dare I say, I could say understand in some capacity women better than I can understand men. And I'm an only child.
There you go.
And so I find teasing to be a very masculine thing, a very manly way to be friends with people. But I don't know how to give that back. So when there are men in my life who tease me, I carry that as like an affirmation of like, I'm in, like I'm one of the guys. And so like, I appreciate the teasing. But I don't know how to tease back. Well, I've teased before. There have been moments where I have been really good at teasing. But they're few and far between. It's not the way I lead in friendship loosely. I'm not a very casual. Am I a casual friend? I don't think I'm very casual. I'm silly.
Well, you are silly, but are you casual? I don't think you're a casual friend. I think you're very intentional in your friendship, which is one of your great gifts. And also something that at times has been frustrating for me in our friendship, because when I want to be around you, but also the more the merrier, it was always difficult to understand how to sort of bring you into my world.
Yeah.
It's easy to enter into your world because yours is a world that you've sort of curated for yourself, and you're very open and welcoming, right? Like, it's easy for me to enter into your space. I think sometimes it's been hard for me to invite you to enter into my space a little bit. Does that make sense? MySpace, shout out to the early 2000s. makes me think of one of my very best friends, John Hillebrandt, and his wife Emily, who met on MySpace. Anyway, yeah, that's a whole nother story. But shout out to John and Emily. Yeah, love you guys. Boop boop. Anyway, I don't know. Is that a fair thing to say?
No, I think that's a very fair thing to say.
And when I say frustrated, I don't mean like, oh, Damian, yet again. Like, oh, it's not like that. It's just, it's something that I've always had to carry a bit in our friendship. So, all right, let me ask you a different question. When did you realize, because your category of friend, I think, is much more cultivated and intentional than my category of friend. When did you realize that we were friends? Because I'm a man of moments, right? Like I'm kind of scouring my memory for moments of when I could point to you and say, we are friends.
I don't, there was a moment when we did a retreat together, a silent retreat together, in Oshkosh, the same retreat house you were at this weekend.
Huh. I'm intrigued.
And we were in that little hermitage that they call it a hermitage, but it's mainly a house.
Yeah.
And you had straightforwardly said that we were friends and that you were committed to this friendship. I think that opened the door in my mind to say, oh, okay, I guess we are friends.
Huh.
So I think that moment was an affirmation of something I had felt. But I don't think there was I think it was just like lots of moments that kind of came together that made it feel like we were friends. Mostly though, for me, I would say it was when my mom died. It's hard to lose a parent, and I would say being a Jesuit in formation was even harder to lose a parent. I'm 10 years older mostly than my other close friends. And so for many people, this was the first time I think they probably knew somebody that lost somebody so close. And so it was an awkward and uncomfortable period of time to be a Jesuit, having lost a parent, and having people around you having no idea how life is to go on. Because I didn't know what that looked like at the time either. But you were there. You knocked on the door, and when not many people did. And so that was even my own family, I would say. So that was, I think, a time when I knew that, like, yeah, this guy is someone who I can trust, and I can let my guard down, and I can be myself. And so that's kind of probably when that was, that period of probably like a year and a half.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of whether in the context of our friendship, I can point to moments. I don't know. Maybe this is telling for me about friendship. And maybe that's what makes our friendship unique, right? Because I said a little bit ago that for me, I'm kind of just curious about everybody and I like everybody. But there's a limit to how much I naturally want to invest in other people, especially in the context of friendship. And we shared some moments together. I mean, I think your mother's death would have certainly been one of those moments when, and I don't think you hold any ill will. There's no shame or shade here, but like not every Jesuit in our community decided to show up for you the way that I decided to show up for you. And I think I just knew that, yeah, this is the way that I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to show up in this particular way at this particular moment in your life, I think there are some sort of categories of overlap that were often a part of our conversations and our friendship, like school, right? I mean, we have a very different relationship with school. And so I think sometimes you're calling me away to be a little bit more free and a little less concerned. And then my sort of, calling you in a little bit more and trusting yourself and trusting your gifts and talents and your intelligence and all these things. It's like, I think there were just ways that we provided different perspectives for one another that made me want more, right? I always wanted more. I was like, man, Damian is unlike anyone I've ever met before, totally unique, totally singular in my life. And I think there's probably some value for me. This is going to make it sound very selfish, but like your friendship is beneficial to me. You make me like myself more, and you challenge the way that I am naturally disposed to operate in the world. So I think, you just occupy a space in my life that nobody else occupies, and I need you. I mean, I can't do this without you. You're a source of consolation when I'm in distress. You're a source of challenge when maybe I need to be redirected. You're very gentle as well. And so, I mean, one of the things that I think we've done for each other, because I've got my shortcomings and I've got my anxieties, you've got your shortcomings and you've got your anxieties. I mean, how many times have you listened to me sort of process the same stuff over and over and over again? It's like, holy cow, how do you have the patience for that? And I mean, similarly, you can speak to this on your own, but I feel like, you get hung up on the same stuff historically over and over and over again. And it's like, come to me. I will tell you that you're wrong about all of this. That's not who you are. I will affirm something different about you than what you're inclined to believe about yourself. And maybe that's what good friends do. Like we fill in the gaps, and we ease the burdens, and we listen patiently, and we don't turn away. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also important in religious life that what you just shared is, I mean, some of these things that I think that I hold in friendships now would be things that I would probably hold in a partner.
Yeah, good.
That I am no longer going to have. So friendships become that kind of right now and probably forever. I don't know. It's hard to say. But in this moment where I am at in my life right now, friendships become that witness that I am alive, that I exist, that I matter, that I'm seen. And I think at least on the romantic side, I'm thinking about a romantic relationship with someone that's what that person does for you when it's two people that you are witnessing each other live in this world. And so, and yes, I've consecrated my life to Christ and to our church, and I am aware of God's presence, and yet the gifts that God gives are the people in our lives. What is that? I think of that phrase from the lyric from Les Mis. It's at the very end, kind of the face, when you see the face of someone you love.
To love another person is to see the face of God.
That's right. And so sometimes that can be reserved for a partner, but in this life, I think it is extended to all those people who I have opened up myself to, and those are my friendships that I can say that they are the face of God for me, and for me, it's a very limited amount. And I know if I open myself up even more, there's even more people. Like I'm not ignorant of that. But for the immediate faces in my life, those are the faces of God, and they are witnessing this creation that God has put on this earth. And so that's how friendship, I think, is held now differently in this life than it was definitely for sure before I entered in 2012.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's right. And I mean, again, I have friends from all different aspects and elements of my life. I mean, I have my buddy Andrew is my oldest. I like to say he's my oldest friend. We became friends in 5th grade, and he's a ride or die. You know what I mean? And then through him, some other folks, some other guys, gals from high school. But then I have college friends. I mean, I've been able to sort of carry friendship through every stage of life. And I would say that in the Society of Jesus, the deepest intimacy that I've ever felt has been with brother Jesuits, right? It's our charism to live in community together, to hold each other accountable, to work side by side, right? And I think this is a unique characteristic of particularly male friendship, of men in relationship with each other, is that we stand shoulder to shoulder, right? It's sort of this shoulder to shoulder idea we get in the muck together. We sort of get in the grind together. We work hard together. And it's through those shared experiences that then we're able to turn toward each other and sort of see each other as we are, you know?
Yeah.
I will say this, I mean, maybe this is coming out of nowhere, but I would also say that friendship is important to me in such a way that often what I linger on and when I think of what I regret not being better to people that I have considered friends. And I regret losing some access and some intimacy with people along the way. I mean, for every good friend that I still have, there are people who I would still very much consider friends, but who have just taken a different place in my life right now. I don't want to say a back seat, but distance or friendship in the moment versus friendship that sustains. I mean, I remember also being on that retreat with you and basically saying like, hey, we're gonna do this forever. Like, I'm not forcing your hand here, but this is what I want. Is this also what you want? And so there's some regret for me about what it is to sort of get space and time from other folks who in moments in my life were utterly necessary and deeply intimate parts of my experience. But things change, things change and we occupy different space. And so, yeah, I linger on that a lot. Like I wish, I mean, on the one hand, I do think that I'm a good friend. I feel okay saying that I'm a good friend. But on the other hand, I wish I were a better friend. I wish that I could do better and do more right by the people who have given me so much. So maybe that's a little off topic or I don't know where, but it's just what's stirring.
I don't think that's off topic at all because I think there's always room to, I would say I could share similar sentiments. I think I am a good friend, but I know that there are areas in my life where I could be better. And there are parts of myself that I wish that I could be different so that I could be better in a different way and show up better. Because I don't think that I always do. Of course, I also hold that lightly because I know that we are also, as human beings, much harder on ourselves than anything else. And so I might perceive myself as not being a good friend in some areas, and that person might think otherwise, that I am a great friend. So I try hard not to judge myself, which was something to learn, right? Because I think a younger version of me judged myself all the time on how bad of a friend I was. And so I've had to let that go.
Yeah.
And also the same way about being able to understand to say that I am a good friend in the way that I know I can be a good friend. I cannot be all the friend that someone wants me to be unless they tell me what that is. If they don't tell me, I can only be what I perceive to be a good friend. And so I give all in that and what I can that I'm aware of. And I also have learned, I think, to say in reverse that the way in which my friendship is received also is based on the person, on how they are able to receive my friendship. So not to judge another person just by saying, oh, they don't seem like they're my friend because they don't receive my friendship well. No, they're receiving it as best as they can and where they are in their life, and that's how they're doing it. And so not to judge the friendship based on what I want the friendship to look like, but on how we are as individuals coming together. Because that's important. We are in our feet wherever we are, and I cannot put a pedestal on somebody how they receive the friendship that I'm giving, because that's just not fair. But there was a time in my life where I was constantly doing that.
Right.
Constantly.
Right. Yeah. Friendship is hard, right?
It's hard, but it's so worth it, though.
Totally worth it. Totally worth it. Totally worth it. Yeah. So let's celebrate our friends.
Yay.
Okay. Let's turn this toward Jesus.
Jesus.
Are you okay with that?
Let's do it.
So we are presented with many images of the Lord. Certainly, the Lord, right? That's one way of navigating who Jesus is in our faith. Savior, Redeemer, right? There's all these different titles, words, images of Christ that were offered. But unique to, I think, the spiritual exercises is zoning in on this idea that Jesus calls us friends. And Ignatius, in the spiritual exercises, invites us to speak to Jesus, to speak to God as one friend speaks to another, which is so beautiful, right? In processing how it is that Jesus calls us into relationship and calls us to be in the world. So here's my question for you. What does it mean to be a friend of Jesus? Or when did you feel the deepening of your friendship with Jesus? What does it mean to have an intimate relationship like the one that we have with each other? What does it mean to have that relationship with Jesus?
Well, I think that's really related to what we have been talking about. Um, my relationship with Jesus is as intimate and as close to it as it can be as I am with other friends. I cannot give myself to. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and I might be speaking super generalistic here, but like I cannot speak to Jesus as I speak to a friend if I speak to a friend closed off. Um, so to be a friend with Jesus is to say to myself, okay, who are my closest friends, and how do I speak to them? And in speaking to them, can I speak to Jesus in that exact way? And I think that's important to name, because somehow I feel like that in that language that Ignatius uses, I think it kind of can sometimes allude to the fact that we can speak to Jesus differently than we speak to our human friends. And I don't think that's the case, because our spiritual life and our human life are not separate. They are very symbiotic, and they are very together. And so our relationship with Christ, with God, mirrors the relationships we have with other people. And so they are related. And so I think it's important to reflect, for me at least, I had to reflect on my own relationships to understand, what does that mean to speak to someone as a friend? And so what does that look like? Like incomplete sentences, lots of random sounds that I like, just kind of like, oh God, I'm feeling a little, like whatever, where I can just speak to Jesus in the middle of a phrase, where there's moments where I am praying and I am just kind of like starting as if I was talking last week and we're just picking up the conversation where we left off. And that's exactly how I interact with my friendships here on earth. And that's what I want my friendship with Jesus to be. I can be stuck with this image of what I think prayer should look like, which is like on my knees and like folded hands with like, oh, Jesus cometh to me, with such beautiful, like angelic language. I mean, that could be beautiful, and I've done that, but that's not the kind of relationship I want with Christ. I want a real, authentic one, that in its own way bleeds and has a body and muscle and tissue, and that's hard, and it's always evolving. But that's what I hear when I hear that phrase from Ignatius.
Yeah, I love that. I think, just to reflect back what I'm hearing, you had to figure out how you enter into friendship in the world in order to understand more deeply how you would enter into friendship with Christ, with Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right.
And I want to just give a shout out to the fact that we can also move in the opposite direction, right? Like intimacy with the Lord can and probably should inform the way that we enter into friendship with other people. Like, it's a little generic, but like, what would Jesus do? How would Jesus approach these people? And I don't know if I can say this with 100% honesty, but I like to believe that Jesus said hard things when he had to,
Mm-hmm.
but that primarily his way of entering into people's lives was through an openness to them and through a willingness to listen and to encounter and to name the challenges, right? To call people away from the things that they do that are problematic, that sort of break relationship with God, with self, and with others. But he starts with intimacy. Like, who are you? Let me stand witness to your inherent dignity. Mm. This is what Jesus has done with me. He's like, hey man, like, I get it. You're kind of a hot mess sometimes, and I can receive that, and I can stand with you and sit with you in that. And from there, not only am I going to radically transform your life, not only am I going to convince you that I need you, not just the generic idea of you, but I need you specifically to be a manifestation of my friendship to other people.
Yeah, totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, I'm thinking of, if I may just unpack an experience of prayer that I had that's coming to mind. Right. It was an Ignatian contemplation. Father Damian knows this. For folks listening, I think my favorite story in the New Testament, in the Gospels, is Mark 5:21-42. It's this kind of like, gosh, I feel like I've talked about this during another one of our recording sessions, so forgive me. But I'm always going to shout out Jairus, his daughter, and the woman with hemorrhages. Mm-hmm. For those of you that don't know the story right off the top of your head, is they're on a boat. Jesus and his pals, his disciples, are on a boat. They get to a dock of some kind, and then people immediately start swarming them, and everybody's like clamoring to get close to the Lord. Jairus comes up. He says, "Hey, Jesus, I need you. My daughter is dying." And Jesus says, "Well, lead the way," and in the midst of this sort of chaotic moment where people are scrambling to get close to Jesus, but he's got this kind of single focus on Jairus and his particular need, get to Jairus's daughter. This woman with hemorrhages sort of reaches out and grabs the hem of his cloak, or in Luke's gospel, in Mark's gospel, I think she touches the hem of his cloak, and he feels power come out of him. They have this beautiful exchange in which she feels herself healed, and then he affirms that she's worthy of this healing. Mm-hmm. He says, "You don't have to be alone anymore. You don't have to be afraid anymore," right? And then I'm one of the guys who's right next to Jesus when all this happens. Like, I've placed myself into the scene. And finally, Jairus is like, "Come on, we got to go." Jairus says even, "Well, there's no need anymore because my daughter has died." And Jesus is like, no, have faith. And so we're about to like hustle with Jesus to go to Jairus's home and have this encounter with his daughter. But Jesus is like, "Yo, Eric, actually, I need you to stay here, because if you haven't noticed, like, all these people are chaotically trying to get at me. And there's going to be a lot of disappointed people who are left behind as I go to deal with this moment of intimacy with Jairus and his daughter. So can you like stay here and like deal with this?" And I'm like, whoa, and so Jesus like leaves me behind. And he does so because we are friends, and I know him, and he knows me, and he knows that I've never been afraid to get up in front of a group of people and just say something to kind of keep the action going, right? And so eventually, what happens in this prayer is that in my imagination, this is all happening around sunset, and we're facing west. Have I ever told you about this prayer experience before?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just tell people, it's like, folks, Jesus is going to come back. He said he was going to come back. But right now, there's nothing that we can do. We can't force him. He has something important and urgent to deal with. And so I would just suggest that if you want to talk to him, we'll just wait. And in the meantime, let's check out God's beauty here. Let's check out this sunset. Let's just watch it together, And so we all kind of sit down and calm ourselves and quiet ourselves. In my mind, like two kids kind of came up and like kind of, tucked in, under my arms, and it's beautiful. And the sun sets. And at some point, as the sun is setting, Jesus comes back and he taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, what do I need to do here? Do you need me? And I was like, well, I always need you, Lord. But I actually think right now we should just let people have this moment of wonder and awe for the beauty that you have created, for the beauty that God has created. And then we'll see what you need, And so Jesus kind of just like steps into the background, and he watches the sunset with us. And in my prayer, as the sun sort of disappears over the horizon, everybody applauds. Everybody applauds at the beautiful thing that they had just seen. And so there's this partnership with the Lord that's built around this notion that we can be friends with him. And friendship is both a sharing intimately of our lives, but friendship is also a willingness to stand shoulder to shoulder, to work side by side, to bring about the glory of God, to bring about the kingdom, to manifest it, to make it real, to make it known. I don't know. Maybe that's a digression. I don't know why I just felt compelled to share that, but yeah, friendship with the Lord, right? And it all starts with intimacy, with relationship, with speaking as one friend speaks to another,
Yeah. Well, what I find compelling about it is that you also got a little bit of insight in that prayer to how Jesus sees you as his friend.
Yeah, right? Like, it's not just that Jesus comes. It's not just that he incarnates to show us who God is and how God is, but he also comes to show us who we are, to show us how to be human.
Yeah.
And so you say correctly that understanding how we approach friendship is a beautiful way to understand how we might more deeply and more intimately approach Jesus. But the same is also true in the opposite direction. Like, our relationship, our intimacy with Jesus informs how we are in relationship with other people. Mm-hmm. So it's just like a holy, beautiful ball of friendship, right? And it's flowing in every direction, and it's good.
I think of the story of what is it called? Partners. You might be familiar with this. I'm sure you are, because I got this story when I did the spiritual exercises in the novitiate, and I think we both have the same spiritual director, Father Charlie Rodriguez, and he would give supplements to the exercises, and he gave this story called Partners, from the storybook "Does God Have a Big Toe" by Rabbi Mark Gelman, one of my most favorite books.
Oh, I don't think I got this.
No,
but keep going.
And it's a retelling of the creation story. And it is like the beginning is like it's a swirling blob or whatever, and then God creates the things, and the angels are, every time God creates something, the angels say to him, "Are you done?" And he's like, "No, not yet." And then he creates a new thing, and so on and so forth. And the angels every time say, "So is it done? Is it done?" And then finally he creates human beings, and he says that these are going to be his partners, because partners keep each other accountable for, now this is my language, keep each other accountable for what they're supposed to be doing together. And so if I fall, this is God talking, if I fall short, then they are to tell me that I'm doing something short. And if they're falling short, then I will tell them what they're falling short on. And so then the angels at the end say to God, finally, "Okay, God, is this done?" And he's like, "I don't know. Ask my partners." And so I just like, I even get chills, and even now, like there's just something about that I think also says something to what your prayer experience was like, what is it, at least in my hearing, and about friendship, that it's a partnership, that it is something that God and I are doing together. This little space, this little part of the world that I occupy, that he and I, that God and I are partners in this together. And there are times in my prayer where I'm like, "Okay, Lord, I feel like you're not doing what you said you were going to be doing." Now, I don't want to presume that I know what God is doing or not doing, but the fact that I can feel free and say that to God is an indication of my relationship with God, with Jesus. And I know that there are moments, much more moments, that God is saying, "Okay, Damian, you're not doing the thing." And so then I have to like, okay, figure that out. But that's the ebb and flow, or the sharedness of what it is to give 100% to the partnership of God that also gives 100%.
Yeah. No, and I think, toward the end of our conversation here, you're also pointing toward the fact that part of friendship is, one, acknowledging that we sometimes hurt each other and let each other down, but also that we call each other to more. We call each other to something greater, right? Jesus can say to me, "Eric, like, come on, bud." And I can say to you, Damian, like, "Hey, man, like,
oh, yeah."
Do you know what I mean? Like, we model the sort of divine friendship of God in our friendships with one another, and we bring our friendships with one another into our encounters with God. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, we will. I remember that conference we had, I think during first studies, and I think you were there, when this psychologist that was speaking to us just said, "You know what? You will hurt each other. The question is how you respond to that hurt. How do you respond in light of those wounds? And do you choose to turn away from it and ignore it, or cut people off as a result? Or do you choose to lean further in?" And I think my best friends are people that I have had moments of tension and challenge with. But because I'm willing to keep entering more deeply into the mystery of that relationship, it comes out stronger. It comes out better. And we just keep going,
No, that's right. Well, I think we solved it all.
Friends forever.
Friends forever.
We've solved the mystery of friendship.
We did. Oh.
Yeah.
I was trying. What is that song from that TV show, Friends?
Are you kidding me right now? You mean "I'll Be There for You" by the Rembrandts?
Yes, that's the one. Yes.
Can you just try that again? No. Take a moment. Really think about the most iconic theme song of the last 30 years. Just try it again.
Life is gonna be this way.
Good enough. Yeah, back to music. I don't know this for sure, but I think I know every single word of that theme song and the second verse. And we're just different. I'm the same way, but with Dawson's Creek. Hey, James Van Der Beek, man. Oof.
I know.
I mean, the stuff about, okay, now we're digressing. But the stuff about him has been so powerful, so beautiful recently.
Yes.
Gosh.
Yes.
And what a man who surrendered himself to God's friendship at the end of his life. Holy cow.
Totally.
I've never seen an episode of Dawson's Creek. Ever.
What sacrilege. I cannot believe.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Anyway, it was a cultural phenomenon.
But because of music rights, they don't, the soundtrack to the episode, even the opening song, the to Dawson's Creek is not used because they don't have the rights for it. So now it's weird because the music they used in the actual show is not the same music.
The Paula Cole song, I Don't Want to Wait.
Yeah, they have some kind of like B-side rendition of it that is not the same.
Oh, dang. Not a place to end, but just something to shout out there. Australian Idol this year, American Idol, there's an Australian version of it. And I love these auditions. I just think they're so beautiful. I love guts, and I love watching people just take a shot, right? Like just sing and see what happens. There have been some spectacular auditions, including one in which this woman performs I Don't Want to Wait by Paula Cole.
Ooh.
Oh, it's just gorgeous. I can't remember her name, but look up Australian Idol, Paula Cole, and you'll be blown away. It's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah,
anyway, all right. Should we wind this down?
Let's wind it down.
Okay, let's take a quiet moment and just ask those 3 questions that are important. What was that noise?
That was my throat.
It's like a what in the world? Okay, with that, these are 3 beautiful questions that Ignatius of Loyola asks us in the spiritual exercises. What have you done for Christ? And what are you doing? And what will you do? Where's the invitation? Where's the call? In light of today's conversation about friendship, where do you feel called to work alongside Christ? What will you do for him and with him?
Good.
So, 2 Jesuits Talking. You ready for this?
Totally. I'm ready.
Two Jesuits Talking is a production of the Jesuit Media Lab. Tell us more, Damian.
Well, this show is edited by Frank Tucson, who also wrote the music for the show. Such wonderful music. And the Jesuit Media Lab team includes Mike Jordan-Lasky, Eric Clayton, Marcus Bleach, and the wonderful Becky Sindelar. And your hosts are Father Eric Immel, which is right in front of me,
and Father Damian Torres-Botello. To learn more about the Jesuit Media Lab, visit jesuitmedialab.org, and my work is in vocations. If you're interested in learning more about becoming a Jesuit yourself, check out beajesuit.org.
Peace.
Peace.